I have compiled over 35 minutes of your favorite zombies YouTuber praising modern zombies.
You guys do not understand how unbelievably good the core systems are.
No, I'm not kidding.
This has some of the best mechanics we've ever seen in Call of Duty Zombies history.
What you're about to see is, without hyperbole, absolutely unbelievable.
Damage numbers? I mean, I knew I was going to love that.
It's 100% 10 out of 10 for me, if not higher, if that's possible.
Cold War Zombies is brilliant, and Zombies is back.
It seems pretty easy to stumble upon some negativity in the zombies community this time of year. People are giving feedback about what they want to see in the next game, and boy, they're letting you know about what they don't want to see in the next game. And unfortunately, a lot of this conversation boils down to modern zombies mechanics. And if you ask me, I feel pretty tired of this conversation, and more importantly, I believe we have lost a lot of nuance in regards to these mechanics. But of course, as a scientist, I wanted to gather some data. Did people always hate armor? Were we always against things like rarity and damage scaling? Did we always throw a fit about the HUD? And I gotta say, what people have to say about these mechanics, your jaw is going to unhinge from your face. I have gone back to Cold War and compiled a bunch of people's first impressions and a lot of people's full review after the entire year is over, sometimes even years after Cold War's been released. There are over a dozen content creators, both big and small, in this compilation, and I want to make something perfectly clear. This is not a drama video. This is not a gotcha. This is not a you've been lied to for all these years. Even though it might feel that way after you watch this, people are allowed to change their opinion. I have changed my opinion over the years. The purpose behind this compilation is to highlight and showcase the positive aspects about these mechanics. I want us to at least acknowledge the positives that these mechanics have done for the zombies game mode, and how we can preserve these positives while still innovating and making the game better. Now, I do want to address, yes, this is a compilation of positive things, so I did naturally edit out the negatives. Please don't get it twisted. This is not me trying to say, oh my goodness, it was all positive, because believe me, we did have a lot of negative things to say, a lot of criticism. This is not to discredit anybody. This is not me attempting to misrepresent anything. This is just me trying to focus on what we liked and what was positive. So yes, there was absolutely negative things, but for this edit, I wanted to focus on the positive. And with that being said, people are going to say some wild things and controversial things. And there are some controversial people in this compilation, but I am going to hold the comments to a very high standard. If you're going to personally attack someone's character, if you're going to demean and outright insult people, take that somewhere else, because I am not going to tolerate that here. On this channel, we are here to talk about zombies and its mechanics. It is just a simple video game. It's not that deep. Let's treat everybody with honor, dignity, and respect, including other commenters, even if you don't feel they deserve it. But with all of that out of the way, let's hop into our time machine and see what we all actually thought of modern zombies mechanics.
The core systems in this game are so unbelievably good. You guys do not understand how unbelievably good the core systems are.
I have played 3 games of this, and I am in love with this game mode. It is the greatest zombies game mode I have played on a launch day, and I have been 100% happy with. There's been other games, let's say Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3. Release day, I'm like, this is fun, but it feels different. And I don't like that, but I'll get used to it. This is different, but I love it. It's unreal. It's unreal.
So, first of all, this has some of the best mechanics we've ever seen in Call of Duty Zombies history. I honestly feel like the core gameplay mechanics are pretty damn good in terms of the armor system, how it feels to kill zombies themselves, all the different like salvage drops that you can use for the different stations. I love the weapon rarities, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well, because I think that was one of the coolest things they did. And it just plays well in terms of casual gameplay flow with having 3 different pack-a-punch tiers. There's a lot of stuff to go for when you're just casually playing for high rounds, and if that's all you care to do, this mode is pretty good for that. I'll say, like, it's not bad at all for that.
If they tweak some numbers just somewhat in the points area around like 10 to 30, sometimes points are a little slow. The developers are literally going to make this the best Call of Duty and rival BO3. If they can do that, this will be one of the best Call of Duties of all time.
Chat, before we get into this, did you like Cold War, yes or no? That's all I gotta say. I liked Cold War. I think the maps could have been way better though on this game. That's
games
all
after
that.
Cold
War was a great game. If you say it's
bad,
bad, I disagree.
But bro, power and pack-a-punch are so simple. That's gonna be so nice for new players.
The pack-a-punch part, the machine part. So you get this, and it walks you through this, which is great. Everyone who said, hey, the core gameplay should not be an entire Easter egg hunt, guess what? You got it this year, and I think it is perfect. It literally walks you through how to get pack-a-punch. You forge pack-a-punch. There it is. And now you're on your own. That's the entire walkthrough it gives you. Now you are open to literally doing whatever you want.
Do you remember those wonderful days back in 2010 Kino de Toten where you just flick a switch to turn on the power, grab your perks, link the teleporters, and Pack-a-Punch is good to go? Well, I'm tremendously pleased to say that in the case of the machine, the power, the perks, and the Pack-a-Punch is just as accessible and easy to set up as the old days. This is great news for those players like myself who just kind of want to get set up and good to go without having to do a long, convoluted process. Gone are the days where you have to run around aimlessly and look for parts, and gone are the days where you'd have to spend literally 30 to 40 minutes just to access basic functionality in the game.
Cold War in general feels like a direct response to the criticisms of Black Ops 4 and even some of the games before it. Black Ops 3 and 4 were starting to become a little bit too complicated for the average player, and not in a good way either. To even interact with the maps on the most basic level, utilize the features like buildables, Pack-a-Punch, side quests, and of course the main Easter egg, you had to have a YouTube tutorial up for most things in the map. For the most part, this made the most enjoyable elements of the game virtually inaccessible for the average player, and as much as I understand my position in saying it, it was a game made for Reddit users and YouTubers. You had to have had a previously vested interest in zombies to really get into this game, and it was the highest barrier to entry I've seen in a zombies game possibly ever. When the average Easter egg guide for a given map was anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, the game starts to feel more like homework than a video game, and in most BO4 maps, and a few in BO3, you almost always needed external tools like solvers or location guides for these maps. This is what we like to refer to in the business as artificial difficulty. Get used to this term.
Jumping in with them and having an experience that didn't feel like you were sort of forced out like a Shadows of Evil, where there's a real barrier to entry where you have to be a certain level of skill in order to enjoy that map, I think. That was really good for those players, and that was a theme that ran through the entire year of content. It's something that Treyarch have talked about in their design decisions. It's been all over. And it goes for solo players too. Being able to jump in solo where previously you might have been a little uncomfortable, but then in this game, do Easter eggs on your own and sometimes figure them all out by yourself as well, like doing them alongside the YouTubers when we're doing the races at the start of the maps. That's been a real source of joy for a lot of people. A huge number of people have said that that's just made their year, so that's been really cool. It's also something that Treyarch had previously said was a problem they were trying to solve. Previously, unless there was a guide on YouTube, only like 2% of people might do an Easter egg in a game, and so it was very guides reliant in that kind of sense, whereas now, I think guides are a bit more supplemental, which is worse for me, to be completely transparent. I mean, I want you guys to watch my videos because that's how I make my living, right? But when they're supplemental, it does mean that you feel like you have more agency in the game, you're figuring things out, you're having a better time, and that's going to mean that you're more likely to stick around in the zombies ecosystem for longer. So honestly, it's like a rising tide lifts all ships in that regard.
Cold War Zombies completely backtracks on almost all of this artificial difficulty. For most things, the accessibility and most mechanics can be utilized with virtually no external help, and the things you do need can be found reliably in the same place every time. However, the task to obtain said items can range from being very easy to a bit more difficult. This is a welcome change in my opinion. It's refreshing to not have the pace of gameplay be interrupted by having to pull up a YouTube tutorial while one of your friends runs around with a zombie for a circle in 10 minutes while Mr. Waffles tells you where the thing you need for the wonder weapon is. But suffice to say, Cold War's Easter eggs have a formula that works.
It's a weird one. People were like, they didn't like the fact that there was health bars on zombies. I like it, because you know how much you've got to do to it before you can melee and get the maximum points. I think that's absolutely fine. So yeah, we're looking pretty good right there. I'm fine with that. Mini-map also, while I'm learning the map, I think it's great. It tells you where zombies are. It tells you where everything in the map is.
Health bars are in the game. Second of all, before anybody goes, they put health bars in my First of all, the health bars, and you're gonna see this, is one of the greatest additions to this game. And secondly, if you don't like it, you can take off damage-based hit markers. You can take away zombie names and health bars. You can take away everything. You can take it all away. It is an option in the menu to take it away. The health bars were weird at first, but I like them now. Bro, the health bars you guys are gonna see on later rounds if you get an insta-kill, it is the most satisfying thing. Like, it's actually satisfying and fun to shoot zombies again.
First off, the kill feed on screen feels so good. Matter of fact, the entire HUD is clean and feels like a major step up from Black Ops 4's catastrophe. But even better is the fact that all of these customizable HUD elements, including things you may not like the zombie health and the kill feed, can all just be disabled if you don't need them.
The mini-map in zombies. At first, I looked at that and I was big thumbs down, boo, this isn't zombies, boo. It's fine. It's honestly fine, and it feels pretty good, to be honest. Being able to path towards the last zombie at the end of a round or something, really useful. Like, it's just a good system. And granted, I'd like to be able to make it smaller in the HUD. I'd rather it be something I could toggle on or off, stuff like that. But the fact that it's there, I think, actually ended up being positive, which just isn't something I expected. And damage numbers, I mean, I knew I was going to love that. I absolutely knew when they announced it. I was like, I'm just so into this. And I do love them. Damage numbers are a really, really big deal for me. Also, zombies' health bars, I think, are really positive. Those little changes it just feels so good to me. It improves the quality of life. It just improves the gameplay. It makes the gameplay better for me. So that stuff, big thumbs up.
So a lot of my complaints that I had when watching the early gameplay, a lot of those complaints aren't really
that big of a deal. The health bars and the hit points that pop up, you can turn those off, and actually in the gameplay, I turn those off so you can see how it looks like without the health bars and without the hit points. Minimap you can't turn off. Minimap I don't really have a big issue with though. I mean, a lot of people had an issue with it before. I think the only problem I have with it is like, it's not really needed, but I get why it's there, because when you play the game, you'll start to realize why it's there. It shows you where the perks are, it shows you where the box is, it shows you where wall weapons are, it shows you where doors are. That helps casuals get through the map, and there's even these objectives that literally tell you how to turn on Pack-a-Punch, or how to turn on power, and how to get Pack-a-Punch, which is a complaint a lot of people have been having for a while with zombies, that it's too difficult to do these things. Casual players can't do it. Well, now casual players can. You don't need a guide anymore. I turn on Pack-a-Punch my first game. It's not that hard to get because it's literally telling you how to do it, which is like what World War II did with their first zombies experience. So I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with telling me how to do those early things. Hopefully it doesn't tell us to do how to do the whole Easter egg. That would be terrible. I want the Easter egg to be something we actually solve, but I don't think it will. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be showing you how to do those simple things. In terms of how the game feels, it feels like zombies. It definitely doesn't feel like multiplayer.
See, this game really reminds me of Warzone right now. It feels so similar. But dude, I like these Warzone mechanics in zombies. I think they play really well.
I can't believe people are saying this is like Warzone. When I first saw Elite's gameplay, I thought the same, but no way. Look at this. Look at this. Once you pack a punch, once you get that camo on a gun, you're not gonna say that anymore. Oh, that's quick revive. I'm telling you, when I saw that Leeds gameplay, I didn't like it, but playing it for myself, it's so good. Like, it will definitely rival how we feel about Black Ops 3 zombies. Like, everyone loves BO3, right? And I feel like it's gonna rival that.
And then it shows you where to get the Pack-a-Punch piece, and you just put in the Pack-a-Punch, and boom, you have Pack-a-Punch. But what I really don't like about the Pack-a-Punch is how it's not like the classic Pack-a-Punch where you put your gun into the machine, it gives you back. You literally just, it opens up a menu, and you just have to select the upgrade you want, and then that's what you get. It's a minor complaint. Like, this isn't huge. Like, it's not a massive issue that's gonna ruin the game. Anyone who says these little things are gonna ruin the game, they are the worst type of people. I'll be honest.
The other great thing about the gameplay is that the sense of progression throughout the match feels really damn good. Even into the later rounds, you're still working on your loadout with a mix of new things and classic things. Classic things including perks and the Pack-a-Punch, as well as new things like the weapon tier system, and of course the brand new scrap system, which you can use to invest in score streaks and equipment that we've never seen in zombies before, which of course we will touch on later.
As the game progresses through the rounds, the guns all subsequently bump up the tier ladder to compensate both wall and box guns. This smartly keeps BO4's ability to spawn in with better guns without keeping the OP nature of it, and also erases the pea shooter issue as the guns get stronger with you.
This is not only the most in-depth zombies in terms of like getting to round 100 that you have ever seen, but it's also one of the most in-depth zombies for gun customization.
The rarity system I really like because there's a lot more guns to mess around with in the box because of this, because you don't just have, you know, one of each gun, you have like 4 different variations of each gun. So I really dig the variant system that they have going for it, and it obviously makes it clear that you need a better gun than what you start with. Your starting weapon, you'll never be able to keep it for that long. Like if you start with the commando, that thing's gonna get crappy by round like 7. So you need to continuously upgrade your weapons or get better rarities out of the box or from the wall weapons. You need to get better weapons. You cannot deal with the crappy weapon you start with, so don't worry about that.
Unlike every other zombies entry, players are able to start with any weapon of their choosing. To balance this feature, there's the weapon rarity system. All these systems create an extremely nuanced roguelike game design that's never been seen before in zombies, but because of their players' ability to upgrade their chosen weaponry at the armory and the consistent output of the scavenger system, players aren't forced to play very roguelike if they don't desire to. So your Junior Rizzos can change up the gameplay on a dime, and your Stanley 557s can play each match the exact same. This flexibility was a smart move on the development team's part. It's quite clear they learned from the inconsistent mistakes and mishaps taken during Black Ops 4's development.
So with this game, there is a wonderful range of day 1 support abilities, ranging from chopper gunners to war machines to sentry turrets and more. In the case of things like the war machine and the chopper gunner, they just feel so awesome to use, and even though at first it was kind of worrying to see so many multiplayer elements in zombies, it's safe to say that they've all been implemented in a way that actually kind of just feels natural. The looting mechanic from fallen zombies is also really fun and engaging. You can end up in some seriously clutch scenarios in which killing a certain zombie will drop a piece of equipment that may save your life. And you're even given the ability to now buy ammo for any of your weapons, and also have access to a huge variety of craftables. These craftables include new equipment such as stims, stun grenades against zombies, C4, decoys, and more. And it's all coupled together with something that I was really hoping would happen, and that is a great variety of weapons in the game in general.
There is a second tier of Pack-a-Punch that costs $15,000 that literally like quadruples your damage. Right? It makes your damage so much higher on whatever gun you Pack-a-Punch. Also, the Pack-a-Punch camos are fire in this game. There is a third tier of Pack-a-Punch for 30,000 points. It is an in-game thing that you save up for once you're set up, and you triple Pack-a-Punch. And it does like 10 times the damage. It is, so you know how Black Ops 4, when you like double Pack-a-Punched and you spent 2.5k and you couldn't even tell your gun was going up in damage? This literally turns your gun into a god weapon. It is so sick.
There's also great weapon customization, of course, connecting back to the weapon rarities. Having all these different rarities of weapons just makes it so everything is viable. I feel like, at least for the first like 30 or 40 rounds, everything feels usable if you have it tiered all the way up to the highest rarity and tiered all the way up to the highest pack-a-punch. Everything feels viable, and in the loadouts, you can put so many different attachments on it with the gunsmith, and there's tons of customization, by far the most customization in zombies when it comes to your actual gun itself, so that's awesome. A lot of outside of the game grinding you can do in order to level up your gun so you can get the best possible attachments on it, and ever since they added the ability to actually make specific zombie loadouts, it's not a problem anymore. Before it was a problem because you could only put your attachments on your loadout weapon, but now you can apply it to literally any gun if you make a custom blueprint for it, and so you can put whatever attachments you want on whatever gun you want, literally just in the game, and it's a fantastic system.
And the last thing I'll mention for replayability is you also don't have to play the game the exact same way every time now if you don't want to. Like, in the past, there was kind of an established formula that you sort of needed to end up relying on. Like, you would get to a point where your pack-a-punch guns would be totally useless. You just had to use traps to kill zombies, for instance, or you had to use one wonder weapon, for instance. But in this game, there's been more work, I think, to mean that in the earlier to mid-game, like up to, let's say, round 55, you can do pretty much whatever you want. Like, you can literally use regular guns and just rely on AATs up till round 50. That works totally fine in a whole bunch of the maps. You then, after that, are not reliant on traps in order to get through the rounds. You can use your guns and still kill if you want to. It's not like you're Fixu on town trying to get to round 100. Like, the guns still actually do stuff, but you also have the option to use the ray gun, for instance, or to use the die shockwave or the whatever die electrobolt or whatever you want to use. Granted, some are better than others. Like, I'm not saying that there isn't a meta. It's just that it's been nice to feel like I can jump into a game and like shotguns, for instance, aren't going to be significantly more annoying to use than an AR because of the fact that they earn less points. And that's not me saying that the point system is necessarily the best in this game. It's just the fact that the loadout system is there, A, so that you can customize all that stuff, you can switch stuff in-game. The fact that we can do that now is phenomenal, but then also you can jump in with those and upgrade them and still feel powerful pretty much no matter what. Like, that is just good, man. It means that there is room for variation there. You can jump into the game and basically shred with whatever you want to use, and then just exfil if you want to, and that's a nice, tight, controlled play session, and you've succeeded, you have won. You're much more likely to come away from that feeling good than you are to feel like, oh man, I just wasted 3 hours, right?
I absolutely love what they've done with weapon rarities and upgrades. As the game progresses, you're able to not only pack-a-punch your weapon to increase its effectiveness, but you can also upgrade its rarity, which also allows it to deal more damage, as well as have more attachments. This system has been the most satisfying part of this new Zombies experience for me. And as weird as it seems, I think part of the reason I find this so rewarding is because of the zombie health bars and damage numbers. One of my all-time favorite things in Zombies is hoarding up a group of zombies and mowing them down instantly with my weapon, and Cold War Zombies makes that experience insanely euphoric.
Same thing with how Pack-a-Punch works as well. In BO4, you had to upgrade 4 separate times to have max damage. On paper, I was fine with this. However, in the game, the cost for Pack-a-Punch was always the same, and there was really no way to tell a single Pack-a-Punch gun from a quadruple papped one. They weren't visually different, and subjectively, it was kind of hard to tell the difference in damage just by shooting them. Cold War Zombies changes this very intelligently by having a 3-tier system, each one costing significantly more than the last, and having a distinctly different camo and damage output, with each upgrade along with an icon to represent what tier it is otherwise. Ammo mods also return, but aren't put up to random chance like in Black Ops 3 and 4, but instead can be selected right away according to your preference. This allows the player to continue to feel like they are still meaningfully progressing their loadouts even later into the game. Same idea with the armory and the tiers of armor and weapons. The salvage system is a separate currency that allows you to do things without the need to burn points.
Double pack-a-punch and giving your gun an alternate ammo type, which you can upgrade, by the way, using that Ethereum crystals you earn from playing. Look at this. They cost 2,000, and it's a little mod you strap onto your gun. So you now can have a double pack-a-punch weapon without pack-a-punching. It is a huge W. There are so many ways to play this game that you couldn't before.
A lot of these features are actually pretty sweet, and I like that I can experience them from map to map, especially the crafting bench. I think that addition with the salvage system is amazing.
Uncommon salvage gets you lethal and tactical equipment from the crafting tables, whereas rare salvage unlocks the badass score streaks implemented from multiplayer, which deepens the zombies dynamic as a whole, as you can either buy shit for specific strategies or just do it for the fuck of it. Oh, and they also drop equipment straight up, which is essentially an endless means of killing the zombies from the zombies. A lot of these multiplayer components had the multiplayer and Warzone communities excited, and thus they flooded in to check it out, making D-Machine such a prominent launch. Everyone was playing zombies again, which was great to see after the player base slowly died throughout BO4. You can also use salvage to buy, repair, and upgrade armor, and even upgrade your weapon tier from the arsenal, which continues to add depth and fun innovation to the mode. Pack-a-punching is no longer a pain in the ass either. You only need to upgrade 3 tiers instead of the mind-numbing 5 times in BO4. Granted, it is far more expensive in this game, but that directly correlates to stronger weapons, so it's really worth it. And ammo mods are no longer random. You get to choose them and upgrade them. How cool is that? It keeps the progression while also simplifying it to a convenient, player-friendly system. Another excellent fix.
This system allows players to scavenge the undead for various means of destruction, and all of them have been overtuned to always insta-kill the standard enemy at any round, regardless of health, as long as the equipment lands a direct hit. Is this broken? Yes. Why does no one bring it up? I don't really know, but it makes the game more fun.
I also thought that Salvage was a great addition to the game. I just think that like some of the drop rates need to be fixed, but still Cold War is an amazing.
That's where the armor system comes into play. Following the issues introduced with the armor system in Black Ops 4, the developers went back to the drawing board and reworked the system entirely, making it more of their own. It's a very nuanced mechanic for more experienced players. To play devil's advocate though, armor is a very simple system to understand and obtain, unlike the fetch quest-like system of gameplay with the shield. And because of the salvage mechanic, losing and purchasing new armor isn't as punishing as the Geistchild system from World War II.
We also had crafting, we had salvage this year, we had the armor system, we had all these new ways of interacting with the zombie sandbox that just sort of weren't there before, and that was a real refreshing change, I think. Not everyone liked all of those things, don't get me wrong, but I think that the experience at launch of getting used to the salvage system and getting a feel for what it was like to upgrade your weapon rarities and stuff like that was a net positive for the game. I think that it did really improve things. Armor is one of those things where it's like, it's got pros and cons for sure, but the pro of armor, I think, is that it really adds to the gameplay loop. It's another resource that you're constantly managing, where previously we just sort of had points that were there and that was that. Now you've got this thing that you constantly kind of want to keep topped up, and it does cost money, so you do need to be mindful of that. But then at the same time, you can also get it from the zombies from slaying out. You can get it by being aggressive. You can do all of those sorts of things too. So there's a real nice balance there, and I think they did a really good job introducing that system and making sure that it added to the feeling of a player getting better at the game and being more skillful, rather than just sort of feeling like a crutch at all times.
The armor system seems to be pretty, normal. It's not like anything too complicated. People were, like a little worried about the armor system. I'm like, it's not that big of a deal. It's literally just like the shield that we've had previously, but it's like all around you rather than just being on your back. And it doesn't fully protect you. Obviously, they can get rid of the armor pretty quickly, and you have to get new armor. And I like how that system works. There's a lot of like stuff you can craft, a lot of different grenades, a lot of different streaks, a lot of things you can just do on the map. It seems we don't even have the side quests and Easter eggs unlocked yet, so already having a lot of content is great.
So let me explain the armor system. It's way, way, way better than it was in World War II. Because World War II, I didn't like the armor. This one, I don't mind it. It's really not that bad. Basically, think of it as a shield that goes all the way around your body. This station right here is where you buy armor. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy armor. And say I don't like my weapon attachments. I can re-roll them. Boom. Now I have different weapon attachments. The game has so much depth to it, and there's so many different ways to play. So I just bought a wall buy. I didn't like the attachments I got. I can re-roll them, and now I have attachments that I don't even have unlocked in the game.
Oh, very cool. So we just upgraded to tier 2 armor. Oh, and there we go. We got another little counter above our health bar right there. Dude, it's so different, but it's so good. It's very good. Anyone that said this is bad, you are incredibly wrong. I was so skeptical, and I hated it until I played it for myself.
Like, whoever designed the core mechanics
Several months had passed
understands
before we
zombies.
began to wonder.
On round 51 and onward, enemies will begin to super sprint like Black Ops 4 zombies in high rounds and deal 90 damage per hit, downing players in just 2 hits. I love this system. It prevents a lot of the early game downs like the team had wanted in Black Ops 4, but ramps up the difficulty during the game, and allows players to slowly kit themselves out with weaponry, perks, and map setup. A lot of players were frustrated that Black Ops 4 starts them out too powerful, and doesn't allow them to grow with the game, and I believe this system meets a nice compromise. One of the biggest bonuses this change brings is an added level of protection for newer players, giving them a chance to get off their feet in the early rounds, making the early game less punishing for beginners to the series, something the development team has been trying to do since Black Ops 4. But even with a maxed out can of jug, you'll still down in 3 hits past round 51.
The fact that each perk in the game has 5 different upgrades to it, each of which meaningfully transforms the gameplay in a significant way, is crazy to me. Like, it's not like we've got like 10 perks, it's like we've got 30, because there's so much stuff that each perk adds on, and there's no perk limit, so by the time you've got all of them, you feel really powerful, and yet they've done, I think, an amazing job in making sure that it doesn't feel like just because you've got all the perks, you're unstoppable and you will literally never die. It hasn't felt like that due to the perk system. There are some other things we can talk about related to that, but the perk system, I think, has been fine. No perk limit, thumbs up. Really, really good upgrades, thumbs up. I've liked it.
You can upgrade the weapons classes, field upgrades, ammo mods, which we'll get a little bit more into later, and perks, which we'll get into now, as there's an entirely new perk system in this game as well. Of course, in an effort to get far away from the communist-like mediocrity of BO4's lousy system, no longer do we choose and are stuck with 4 bland perks before the game even begins. This time, we get all of them with no limit, including the return of our beloved, iconic OG perks, Jug, Speed, Stamina Up, Deadshot, and Quick Revive, and the new Elemental Pop, which outputs a randomized ammo mod every few shots. This perk system successfully recaptured the fan favorites, and subsequently the soul and personality they bring, adds a bit of new, and dabbles with a new progression system altogether, which marginally boosts the cost with each purchase, which is actually a genius way to be flexible and fun, while also making it quite expensive to obtain them all. The best of both worlds. At the end of the day, Zombies is about having all the power, and so you can grant that to the players, but at a genuine cost. it can work that way. Unlike BO3, which sort of just hands it all to you without any real resistance. There are once again dedicated machines, but additionally, the Wonder Fizz, allowing you to grab anything you need in one location, but only after the first 15 rounds or so, which is actually really smart, allowing you to grab...
Lads, did you like the Wonder Fizz redesign in Cold War? I'm gonna say I did like it. I thought it was cool. It really, like, it's the first perk machine that gave me the vibe of a vending machine.
Either way, this new perk system and pre-game customization at large fixed so many of the pre-existing issues by taking what did work and modifying the rest. The gameplay isn't quite perfect, but if I'm being honest, it's the closest we've gotten to it. No OP microtransactions, no overcomplicated mess, just good fun. I also just love the overall aesthetic of this game. It has an 80s arcade style that fits so perfectly. It looks and feels just as good as it plays.
Another response to the community criticism was the change from the specialist weapon to the field upgrades, and in my opinion is just objectively a better system compared to specialist weapons from past games. Let me explain why. The special system in BO3 and BO4 was, at its core, just another way to kill zombies. Remove the quest in order to obtain some of them in BO3, and you're left with virtually the same thing as a wonder weapon. In BO4, basically all of the weapons accomplish the same thing with very few other properties. They blow up zombies, and that is to say, in many ways, it didn't matter if you were running the death machine or the flamethrower. At the end of the day, they accomplished the exact same thing. In Cold War, they expanded on the idea from World War II zombies in a way which actually feels like an extension of the perk system rather than having a wonder weapon. You have field upgrades with clear strengths and trade-offs. This can be said about each of the field upgrades. They all add a meaningful different way to approach the game.
You also select what's called a field upgrade before the game, which is a superior alternative to the OP specialist system BO4, which you mindlessly spawn in with. It's more of a quick enhancement rather than an overbearing wonder weapon that you don't even earn.
Another thing that was new this year was Outbreak. A lot of people hate Outbreak, but a lot of people love it. And like I've been saying, those more casual players or the players that felt like zombies was a little inaccessible before, or just players that are not casual by any means, but just sort of want to chill out or have a different kind of play session on a given day, those people have loved Outbreak. It's been a really refreshing tone change and vibe change and pace change this year. And it's totally new. We've been saying forever, oh man, open world zombies would be so amazing, right? Like I have made videos about that like 5 years ago saying that's a dream, and it came true this year. And yes, there were aspects of it that could have been better, I think, but on the whole, I think the fact that Outbreak exists is a victory. That is just a victory in itself. And I think it did contribute to replayability because Treyarch themselves have said that about 50% of people play Outbreak and 50% play round-based maps. So we're moving away from round-based being the only thing that anyone cares about. Outbreak clearly is cared about by a lot of people. Maybe it's not the OG hardcore high rounders, but it is still cared about by an equal number of people and is just as valid. And having the ability to go back and forth does make the game more replayable.
Next DLC comes out, we have a new map. They are able to, in this map, inject all of the new perks. They're going to be making new perks. They're going to be adding new intel. So the storyline is going to be told a lot through these intel things that you can hunt for. I've already found like probably 10 of them, but these intel things can be now added to old maps. So now there's going to be a reason once DLC 2 comes out to go back to demean and find intel that is going to be added into this map. In addition to being able to use the new perks in this map. The mystery box is going to have all the new guns. You're going to be able to spawn in with all of the new guns that they added to MP over the year. It is going to be, there is so much available in terms of depth in this game that we've never had before.
I also think that the limited time events they did this year were, on the whole, another net positive. Stuff like this most recent Halloween update, where the mimics have pumpkin heads and you're running around the map and you're picking up jack-o'-lanterns to get wonder weapons and you're super, super powerful, like you're super OP for essentially no reason, like crazy early in your game. That, for a limited time, is fun. Like that is a good thing for those more casual players to be able to jump in and be even more powerful, have even more of a chance to sort of slay out and enjoy the mode a little bit. And also just gives you the feeling that zombies is getting some attention, you know? Like having zombies with Santa hats and stuff running around at Christmas, having zombies with the pumpkin hats at Halloween, those sorts of things make you feel a bit more as a zombies player like you're valued by Treyarch and it's not just the MP guys that get all the cool like limited time events for the seasons and that's that.
As Cold War Zombies brings a completely new take on the storyline, as well as honestly feeling like the first major step up in 5 years for the whole Treyarch zombie mode. Judging by the content that we saw prior to the release of the game, it would be very easy to assume that the classic elements are all gone. But thankfully, that is not the case. In fact, quite the opposite. The storyline has reverted to what in my opinion was the better style, which was the failed Nazi experiment scenario filled with radios and hidden bits to tell you more about the lore. And even within the core gameplay mechanics in Cold War Zombies, all of the classics are here. And so thankfully, it's safe to say that Zombies hasn't just gone multiplayer. And instead, Treyarch have opted to take the best elements from previous zombie games and bring them to life in one centralized place.
Everything inside of Cold War Zombies has been streamlined in such a way that this is honestly the most balanced zombies mode that we've ever played.
It's so hard to really like invest your time into the game. Like even though the mechanics are amazing, it's literally just because the maps aren't great, which is why it is so infuriating that this game did not get Chronicles 2. This game, if it had literally Chronicles 2, if it had like an updated version of Victus maps, oh my gosh, it would have been amazing. It would have literally been like top 2 Call of Duty zombie games. Like, just add transit, die, rise, and buried. With these mechanics, biggest L for sure that Treyarch has ever done.
Think about all of the different game modes that we could get. The innovations on Outbreak and Onslaught alone make me excited. They could bring back Gauntlets or Rush from Black Ops 4. Imagine them bringing back difficulty settings. Being able to have the time to craft these amazingly atmospheric maps that we had back in Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4. They could even possibly bring back the Chaos storyline. We could have a game with the Cold War Zombies gameplay philosophy mixed with the Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4 map philosophy, all within the Modern Warfare engine.
Treyarch, just take my money.
I want that game.
The gameplay was mechanically some of the best and most streamlined we have ever seen, but it is different than Zombies in the past. As the year went on though, you could see some of the old Treyarch coming out. More crazy, wacky ideas mixed with the grounded experience that they had built before launch. And that gives me a lot of hope that in 2024, we can have some of the best of both worlds. In order to make sure that people love zombies more than ever before, Cold War was a different and controversial step, but I don't think it's all bad. There was some good to come out of it. And for a certain number of players, it created the best zombies experience ever.
So let's just conclude with a nice, simple summary. Treyarch listened. Most of the negatives can be erased over time. The zombies experience this year does pretty much everything right. In my opinion, it's brought back the community from the brink after Black Ops 4. So far, it doesn't feel like the zombies community is left as an afterthought. D Machine is, in my opinion, one of the best launch maps ever made, and we definitely have a very promising year ahead. Conclusion, Cold War Zombies is brilliant, and Zombies is back. But don't just take it from me, let's hear from some of your favorite members of the zombies community.
Hi, I'm Tim. Cold War Zombies undoubtedly has the potential to be, at this rate, the best zombies installment of all time. Mark my words.
Oh, didn't see you there. We here at crazyrabbit.gov.biz LLC think Cold War Zombies is pretty neat.
Can I rate it out of 10? I'm telling you, man, it's literally like, it's 100% 10 out of 10 for me, if not higher, if that's possible. I would rate this extremely high. Extremely high. That's what I'm saying, man. It's very, very different. And I think that's why I like it. Like, you really got to get your own hands on it and go, this is insane. And I'm the person that always goes, don't like it, too different. I said it with BO2, BO3, and BO4. And then after a few weeks, I started loving the game. But now it's at the position where it's like, straight off the bat, I'm in love with this game. I think it's so much fun.
Cold War Zombies for me was able to bring back the spirit of the game we fell in love with years ago back to the forefront to some degree. They didn't bank completely on nostalgia and try their hardest to be liked by the community. None of the maps were remakes at all, and Outbreak was a pleasantly surprising good game mode. I'm very hopeful that Treyarch can take the lessons they learned from Cold War, both good and bad, to positively influence their future projects. Hopefully the team will be more confident and move in stride with each release. They managed to make zombies relevant, and again, where new games are seemingly dime a dozen. I think this was the best possible outcome for what could have been a disastrous year for video game development, and for that, I'll give them a lot of respect. And to speak more personally for a moment, this game made me fall in love with zombies after a period where I had given up on the game entirely. It revitalized my spirit for this game and gave me a newfound sense of passion for creating content as a result. So if you're still watching at this point in the video, I appreciate you beyond what you can know.
But on the whole, looking back, I actually think that as long as Treyarch can take what they've learned about appealing to the casual community and build that up so that there is a little bit more depth to it for the hardcore folks, we could be in for a really, really good couple of years of zombies content. I know there's no round-based stuff in Vanguard. I know that's a real concern, but I'm up for trying something new. I'm up for that.
The story wasn't overly captivating and the maps were collectively average, I'd say, but that absolutely does not take away from the masterclass gameplay. The bottom line is, the zombies formula was becoming both flawed and stale as time went on, and Cold War significantly improved it with some simple, player-friendly fixes and tweaks. I suppose each game has its own thing. You go to World at War for classic bare-bones gameplay, BO3 for the story and OP gum, and Cold War for the best overall gameplay from a mechanical perspective. It did a nearly flawless job of taking what already worked and properly executing the good ideas that were poorly executed in the past. A perfect balance of old and new. Things that should be simple are, and everything else is gravy. You have lots of power, but not without real progression. The gameplay was approached from the eyes of the player this time, not so much the devs. If nothing else, Cold War Zombies is a mechanical masterpiece.
Yeah, that was certainly something, wasn't it? Pretty insane to see what we thought of all of these things. The armor praise, the HUD praise. There are some obvious things like the weapons being strong, which were really fun to talk about. And believe me, there's other positive stuff that I cut out because it was pretty box standard. Like, I think I can make a whole hour compilation of everybody just praising the movement, like the ability to mantle stuff. Man, our minds were blown. We all loved that. Now, in terms of fairness, I know a lot of people are going to have a lot of comments to say about editing just the positives. Like I said earlier, this is not a video to say, oh my goodness, we all love this, because there was a lot of criticism for Cold War II. These mechanics obviously had some tweaks and touching up that they could do, which I think they did a really good job for Black Ops 6, but I don't want anybody to misconstrue this into me being like, oh my goodness, everybody just loved everything about it. No, that's not the case. People were cautious. People had thoughts on this, on that, and oh, I didn't like this, or I thought that could be better. And of course, people had objections to armor. Of course, people had objections to spawning in with anything you want, although less people than what you think. A lot of people liked that. But in watching all of this, the two single biggest, well, actually a couple biggest things that I noticed that we had to say about the negatives for Cold War, the number one thing was the maps. The number two thing was how easy it was. And then the number three thing I could say, like, sort of story / the lack of a set crew. And if you ask me, with the exception of maybe the story, Black Ops 6 really nailed that feedback. Black Ops 6 is more challenging. Specifically, everybody really didn't like the infinite self-revives, so that was capped. Black Ops 6 increased damage scaling. Black Ops 6 gave us a set crew, and Black Ops 6 gave us some really stellar maps, especially when you compare them to Cold War's maps. Now, I still think they have work to do, but we're getting off topic now. I know people say that they're burnt out of these modern mechanics, and that's fair. If you feel that way, you feel that way. There's nothing else you can do. But going back when these mechanics were fresh, I think gives us a really unbiased look at the positives of these things. And like I said earlier, I don't want to lose out on those positives by just reverting back to something else. I want to maintain the positives, iterate on them, and potentially even bring back some of the positives that we lost going from Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4 to Cold War. In fact, I think we are in the perfect position to bring back map-specific buildables. The specialist system could overlap almost perfectly with the field upgrade system. We could do an Easter egg or a side quest and just get a map-specific field upgrade, quote-unquote field upgrade, but it's actually just the specialist system. We could have a buildable shield. That's basically what the Turtle Shell augment is going to be in Black Ops 7. Because we have all of these really nice accessibility features, they could start adding these map-specific, these more hardcore Easter eggs that we knew and loved, all without getting rid of the modern mechanics. We could literally have the best of both worlds. I know people say we've had these mechanics for 5 years, we're tired of them, but in my eyes, Black Ops 6 is really only the second game that they've had to really fully realize these mechanics. Vanguard, Modern Warfare Zombies, yes, they had field upgrades, armor, all that stuff, but that didn't feel like Treyarch like really pushing them out there. That didn't feel like, oh my goodness, here's the definitive version of our round-based zombies experience. But that is what Black Ops 6 feels like. And with Black Ops 7, we're going even further. And with the feedback they're already taking from us, it could be even better. I just don't want to lose the good of modern zombies when trying to bring back the good of classic zombies. I love both zombies. I think a lot more people love both zombies than we would like to admit. Those people probably just stay quiet because they don't want to participate in this really toxic war that people seem to have online about it. And that's why I made the compilation to show everybody that we all loved something about this modern system. So let's try to hold on to that. I know we're missing stuff. I know things have gotten worse in some areas of the game, absolutely. But that doesn't mean we need to destroy what we've built in order to go back to what we had. I hope this was able to change your mind, give you a new perspective, and maybe make you appreciate or be hopeful for the next Zombies installment. And remember, it's just a video game. Don't let it ruin your mood or ruin your day. Just enjoy what you can, and if you don't, that's okay too. Life is too short to be so upset over a video game. And as always, be sure to subscribe and stay beautiful.